I'm Kendra Fleischman. Welcome to the studio. In this tutorial, we're going to make a stop motion animation using cut paper. Before we start, let's answer a question. What is stop motion?
Stop motion animation is a film technique where you take a photo of an object, then move it slightly and take another photo, move it again, take another photo, and when you string all of the photos together and play through them quickly, it looks like the object is moving. Your filming supplies include a phone or tablet with a built-in camera, a stop motion app like Stop Motion Studio Pro or the free version of Stop Motion Studio, and you'll need a tripod to steady your camera. To build your characters and your sets, you're going to need some drawing materials like pencils, color pencils, markers. You're going to need some scissors. Some optional materials are mini brads to join pieces together, or a needle and thread, and possibly a toothpick.
The one thing that's going to drive your entire animation, your characters, the look of your set, is your idea or your story. So how do you come up with a story? Well, you might go from a personal experience, something that you want to express. You could look at mythology, you could look at fables and fairy tales. I'm going to go over my process with this little character right here. Her name is Margie. I suggest using a storyboard. So this right here is an example of a storyboard of the opening scene where Margie is sitting at the table with her mom and dad, who the dad's brother is the one, Uncle Virgil, who is missing, and he's received a mysterious key, and he can't understand why he's expected to go save his brother. But Margie gets upset and she uses the dialogue, "Why don't you do it?" And then she decides to build her own spaceship, which is just a cardboard box, just like kids do. And then she inserts the magic key. It says, "Welcome, space traveler," and it takes off on her adventure. So storyboards help you not only decide the order of your movie, it also helps you define what each frame and what each shot is going to look like to make your animation more exciting. The next step is to start building your sets, your backgrounds, your characters. We've used pens, pencils, and markers and color pencils. We started with an opening shot of a clock that was animated, and then you'll notice in the kitchen, which was the next shot, we have the clock on the wall, so it ties it together. Each of the characters that we had in this movie, we had to create them from different angles. So this is a small version of Margie as she was sitting at the kitchen table. And then I did a larger version of Margie standing up and facing the camera, and then Margie from the side. So let's talk a little bit about how you can actually build your character. When you're drawing your character, you need to think a little bit about the different pieces that are going to go together. For example, if you draw the head, then you need to think about, is the neck going to move here or is the neck going to move down below? I'm going to make an extra long neck with the idea that I'm going to make a little hole right here to join it to the body. So then the body, I'm going to draw next to the neck. I'm not going to draw the arms or the legs, I'm just going to make the body. Then the arms I need to draw separate so that I can cut out each part of this, kind of like you're separating it into a puppet. You can do an animation where your parts are loose. It's just going to be a little more difficult to move these around because you'll have to move every single piece. If that's the case, I really suggest not doing a puppet that has so much articulation. That means so much movement. Just keep it easy.
If you have access to some of these really tiny scrapbooking brads, these are really ideal for stop motion puppets. If you don't, you can use a needle and thread. We're going to look at both techniques. Set your puppet piece on a sponge and either use a needle or a toothpick and poke a hole through your piece. Then take the next piece where this needs to join together. If you want, you can actually use a pencil and make a little mark so you know where to poke that hole. So if you're using one of the little brads, line those up and just push the brad through like so that it goes all the way through. And then you're going to flatten out the back side. And that's going to hold your parts together. If you don't have access to the little scrapbooking brads, you can take a needle and thread and actually go through here and then secure it either with little tiny knots or with tape. So let's take a look at that. There are a couple of ways to do the thread method. You can either take the thread and put it through one hole like this and then tie a knot on each side, but with this little thin sewing thread, that's not going to work. The knot's going to keep wanting to come out. So what I would do is make 2 holes. Go ahead and line your pieces up. Go through one with your needle and thread and then stitch through the other hole. So now you have this part. This still moves. You could tie a knot here, but if you ever want to take these apart to change something, like to change the position of the head, a better solution would be to put some tape on the back side. When you've finished creating your characters, you're ready to animate. I have some different levels of difficulty in these characters. Uncle Virgil is only jointed at his shoulders and his hips and his head, so he's a little easier. Margie has lots of animation, lots of articulation. She can move her ankles, her wrists, and her head. The butterfly is pretty simple. These are even connected together, which makes it much easier to animate. So let's animate these.
When you're filming stop motion, you need to figure out a tripod of some sort, especially when you're doing cut paper. You want to be filming from as much top down as you can possibly get. If you have a tripod and a holder for a phone or for your iPad or tablet, these you can angle about that much. So that's okay. You could also tilt it this way. You're going to need to find a way to support this though, so that your camera does not keep tilting over. Like I have this little wire shelf. I think it's supposed to be used for putting shoes and things on, but this works really well for me to set my camera on top. I just need to angle it so that it's in between there. And this works really good. It's very sturdy. I don't have to worry about my camera or my phone falling off. So this works well. You can stack it on things if you need it to go up farther. I can't get any closer, but that's a pretty good angle right here. If you don't have access to something like this, you can build a little tripod system by using either buckets or books, and then use another book that extends out, and then another heavy book on top of that. Then you can take your camera on your phone and angle it. Be very careful that your phone does not fall and break, but this is another solution, and then you still have access to push the button to take all of your pictures. So you're gonna have to get a little bit creative with your tripod situation if you don't actually have a tripod. Let's move on to filming. To better show you the setup for this tutorial, I'm going to use an angled position where I have the tripod angled and then I've tilted this up. I've secured my set with tape so it doesn't move around, and I need to be sure that my people, if they keep sliding off, I may have to put a little tape behind them as well. Let's open up the program and show you how to take some pictures. I'm
I'm going to open up Stop Motion Studio Pro. This takes you to an entrance screen, kind of a theater area where all of your projects are stored. I'm going to click the plus to make a new movie. And there you can see Margie, the uncle, the aliens, and the butterfly. Let's talk a little bit about some of the features down here at the bottom. First, I'm going to show you this little question mark. If you hit the question mark, it brings up some yellow dialog boxes, and this helps you know what each one of these things does. So if you get confused, remember you can always click. This little microphone is for you to do voiceovers. The plus sign here lets you add images, audio, and credits. This is a settings button, which we're going to take a look at in a minute. These are the frames. So all along here, this will be your timeline. This is an undo button. Over here we have some camera settings. This lets you play your movie. This is how you take a picture or capture your image. And this is a timer if you want to do a time lapse. This over here is called the onion skin or ghosting feature. And when you slide this up, it will show you the frame before. You can also set this so you see 3 frames or 5 frames back. All right, let's take some pictures. So in stop motion, you take a picture and then you move the characters slightly. So right now, I'm just going to move the aliens. And you'll notice they're very easy because they don't have any joints. I can move them up and down and make them look like they're hopping. It takes 24 frames to make a second of a movie. In stop motion, you can also set it in this program, and I'll show you in a minute. You can set your timing so that you do 12 frames per second. So it's not quite as many frames. 24 frames is going to be a smoother animation, but it's going to take you twice as long. So I have 14 frames. I'm going to play that back. So on my timeline, I can slide across here, and I'm noticing that Margie jumps up and down a little bit. If I don't like one of the frames, I can click on it and I can delete it, and that gets rid of that frame. Some other things, let's go through that settings. Down here, let's take a look. Here was the settings. If I want to fade in, I can click this, and that means it will fade in that first frame. There's also a fade out, which I can put at the end. This is the speed that I was talking about. Right now it's set at 12 frames per second. If I push it this direction, it's going to play much faster. So I would have to do many more frames to fill up a second. I'd have to do 24. This is your aspect ratio. So that has to do with how big of an area you're filming in. This is a very wide screen. That's a cinema mode. This one right now is 16:9, which is pretty standard. You could also do a square if you would like to do kind of a little bit of a different aspect to your pictures. These are some fun vignettes. They go around the outside. I could make it look like we were looking through binoculars. I could put some grass and some clouds around. This does not change the background. This only puts a frame around your picture. I believe in the free version, some of the settings you have to buy. In the pro version, you get all of the settings, but in the free version, you may have to buy some, but that's okay. You can still do all of your animation. You don't have to use these. So these are filters. They will change the look of your movie. And then this is the quality that you're recording in. Usually HD is just fine. In fact, SD, standard definition, would be fine as well. That was the settings button. If I want to do voiceover, I can click and I can actually record my voice over the frames. If I click the plus, I can add images from my camera roll. Titles and credits are fun. Maybe you need to put a title to your movie. So here you bring up your title, you can double click, it will bring up your keyboard, and you can type whatever you would need to put on there. Let's just type in Margie. And then there's a second one down below it. So that's over here in this piece here where I get to the stop motion studio film. This is the background. I think you can even change that background colors by bringing in your own picture if you wanted to. You can mess with the format. So this is the font, italics. You can change the color of your font. There's quite a bit of powerful things to do underneath this. Now if I go back to my movie, it's going to go through my title slide and then my movie starts. Underneath audio, you have sound effects. Wow, that one's really loud. You can also choose some theme music. This allows you to go to the end of your timeline or back to the beginning of your timeline, and this lets you undo any mistakes. Let's talk really quickly about this button over here. These are your camera settings. In your camera, you might want to do a green screen. If I have a green piece of construction paper and I lay it down, so click on green screen and then come over here to your green screen background button, which is way over here. If you click on that, I'm going to take a picture so we can see. So now I have this ocean scene, and I could have, this is a spaceship, but I could have something going into the ocean. So let's take a picture. So now you would have this in the ocean. So green screens are pretty fun. You just need some green paper, and then you don't even have to do a background. These are your modes. So this is a manual mode, means that I can control everything. Auto means that the iPad is going to control it, which is fine, except sometimes you may have something that it doesn't want to focus on, so that's a problem. Let's go over to here. This is a zoom. So you can zoom in right here. This is nice if you want to do a really slow zoom. All right, let's go back over here. That was our zoom. And this rotates the picture around. The timer, this is the time lapse. If you want to just have it take pictures over and over again, then you would set this. Maybe I want to actually show me moving the characters. So right now it's taking a picture every 2 seconds, and it's actually going to show me moving my characters. So your hands are definitely going to be in there. And then your ghosting feature over here, you can slide up or down depending on what you want to see more of. Right here it's off, so if I move Uncle Virgil, you can't see at all where it was. But if I move it up, you can see he was here and then I'm moving him here. So that ghosting feature comes in handy, especially if something gets moved that you didn't want to move, you can move it back. I'm going to do some animating while you watch, and then we'll play it all back together. Let's start with the easy aliens. I'm going to bend the wings on the butterfly to make it look like it's fluttering. Margie's coming into the frame, and you'll notice that I have to really think about the way a person walks. So Margie's going to move one leg forward, and then she's going to need to transfer her weight onto that leg as she's stepping, and then bring the other leg even, and then in the next frame, that other leg is going to move forward. So walking is difficult, but if you're ready for a challenge, try to figure out how to make somebody look like they're walking correctly. All right, so Margie is pausing here and she's looking at the butterfly, but you'll notice her eyes are closed. So we're going to do something called replacement. We're going to take an eye and we're going to set it on there. So now Margie has her eyes open and she's looking at the butterfly. And if I want to make her blink, then I just remove the eye and then put it back on. If I want Margie to turn and face the camera, then I need to have my other cutout ready. And I just replace and use that ghosting so you can kind of see where she was standing. And just replace her like that. I want to show you some special effects. Let's do the green screen. All right, so we've got Uncle Virgil. He's on a green screen. And I'm going to put his spaceship next to him. Let's go choose our green screen. I don't want him in an ocean. We could put him in space, but I think I'd rather put him right here on the moon. Now we're getting a little bit of chatter right here, so let me see if we can fix that. So to get rid of that, I needed to move him up a little bit, and then I needed to fix the lighting. Let's take some shots just to establish it here. Let's have his spaceship take off. So I'm going to use some tissue paper, and I'm going to start out with just a few tissue papers, and I'm going to change it every single time. Now because it's casting a shadow, I'm getting a little bit of the green color coming through. If I use flat paper, it might work better. Okay, for smoke, let's use cotton. We're getting a lot of green around the cotton. Now because the rocket ship is taking off really fast, I'm going to move it pretty far each time. And I want to make sure that my smoke keeps moving around. I need to have him following the direction of the spaceship. When I'm done, I can either do my editing in here by using the tools down below, or if you are using an iPad, you can always click and hold and then share this. You can export the movie, you can export it as a project, you can export it as an animated GIF, you can do all of the pictures that are in there, or make a flip book. So let's export it as a movie, and let's send it to iMovie. So now I have it in iMovie, and I have all of the power of editing under iMovie as well. So I can add soundtracks, I can cut it, I can do all sorts of really fun things with this. So that is how to do stop motion animation with cut paper.
That concludes our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed making a stop motion animation, and I hope that you will share this with your friends and family. Remember to ask an adult before posting it online. But you could even schedule a popcorn party and really have fun watching your animation with your friends. Until next time, this is Kendra Fleischman. Bye-bye.
Yay! Hey, oh, ah! No! Hey, give me the key.
Hey! Hey!
Uncle Virgil!
What? It's Margie!
Oh,
Hey!
yay!
Oh, it's good to see you, girl.
I missed you so much.
Oh, there now. You're a very brave girl to come all this way to find me and bring me the key.
It was nothing.
Did you meet my friend Dave?
Hi, friend Dave. Thank you.
Well, I think it's time we go home now.
Can he come too? Please?